We'll give everybody a chance to get seated, and then we'll get started here this morning. All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of the Allegiance, to be led by one of our combat veterans, Vice Chairman. Flag's right here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, I would like to thank everybody coming out this fine morning. We got a lot of things on our agenda here for the next couple days. For the record, we have a roll call of all the commissioners, please. Present.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Thank you. And also, if everybody remember, got the red button. If it's lighted up, we're lighted up. You're lighted up, excuse me, for talking. Now can we have the roll call of the County Advisory Board members to manage wildlife? If we could start over on, say at the front of the room here, anybody from the County Advisory Board, please stand up and say your name and advisory board you represent, please.
Tim Wellington, Elkville County.
Joe Yarder, Carson City.
Joe Prim, Persian County. Lee Graves, Lyon County. Dave Bradfield, Lincoln County. Corey Lytle, Lincoln County. Aaron Sheep, Douglas County. Ray Blair, Western County.
Excellent. So it looks like we have a wide variety of our county advisory boards represented here today. Thank you all for making the long trip out. Appreciate you coming. Item number 2 on the agenda is a presentation. That's the presentation of the Wayne E. Kirch Wildlife Conservation Award. And the winner of this year's awards was given out by staff is...
Point of order, please. Point of order.
State your point, please.
Point is that the Department of Wildlife received a letter from Marlene Kirsch basically demanding that her name not be associated, her and her father's name, Wayne E. Kirch, not be associated with any award of the commission. The issue that we have here is that Marlene Kirsch wrote a letter to the commission on December 2nd and basically requesting that the process not move forward because of her concerns as to the bias that is now present in the process in Policy 51, where the wildlife commissioners dominate the award process. She had a letter come back from Commissioner Lent on December 6th, which automatically is unauthorized because there is no action by this commission at all. That this commission acts as a board, as a body, and nothing a single commissioner does has any legal effect. And so what should have happened is that letter should have come back to the commission, and actions should have been handled at a commission meeting on an agendized item to take action as to her requests on the award. Now, when everybody was shocked that the award came out anyway in contravention of her letter, she wrote a letter to the department and basically demanded her name not be associated with the award. Let me make this point clear. A person's name is everything to them. It is their credibility. It deals with their reputation. It is their name. And if they don't want to be associated with the award, then the award cannot go forward. This commission will have to amend Policy 51 any fashion it wants to, create its own award, and then move forward. That's what needs to happen. It can't happen today because it's not on the agenda. So My position is that this award cannot be issued today. There is no Kirsch Award anymore because Marlene Kirsch has withdrawn her family's name from this award.
Thank you. Your point is not taken. We've received legal counsel on this issue. If a private citizen is controlling who gets a public award, then that is a real problem. That award would need to go away at that point. There is no private citizen who is controlling any public award. That will not happen. Commission cannot allow that to happen. Now, for the presentation of the award, this award goes to Cecil Fredi. And Mr. Fredi, if you could please come up here in front. I'm going to ask the chairman of the Wayne E. Kirsch Award Committee to also assist me in giving the presentation. Congratulations. On behalf of the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commission, I'd like to present the 2010 Wayne E. Kirsch Nevada Wildlife Conservation Award. Cecil Fredi. I have very few words. Over the last 22 years, Cecil brought to everyone's attention that they're losing our deer in the state. The last 2 years, he spent a tremendous amount of time getting 2 heritage projects approved and handed to deer. Anyone who knows Cecil realizes how passionate he is about the return of that once famous deer herd. What most people don't know is he's also been willing to make many sacrifices on his projects in order to do what he thinks is best for the deer herd. Cecil also realized through the project that it's very important to do everything we can to protect the safe routes. Safe routes are listed. They expect the rules laws for all species, ranchers, and hunters, and this will take place. He has participated in every legislative session since 1989. He was responsible for passing many important bills benefiting out of sportsmen. He also has another bill for the upcoming legislative session, so I'm helping move it all over the game species. Thank you. And we had further commentary from Mr. Howell, the chairman of the commission of the committee.
I'd also like to read this into the record. Cecil Fredi is the president of Hunters Alert. And I want to read off some of the accomplishments of Hunters Alert in the past 20-something years. Hunters Alert was responsible for taking the Wildlife Commission from a board of 7 with 2 sportsmen to a board of 9 with 5 sportsmen. Without this taking place, 3 of the sportsmen on this board wouldn't be here today. Hunters Alert was responsible for putting the big game tags out to private enterprise. This required going to 2 legislative sessions to keep handouts from having their hands in the tag problems. Hunters Alert has kept sportsmen informed with newsletters for over 20 years. Hunters Alert was responsible for requiring eligibility qualifications for sportsmen's representatives to the Wildlife Commission. Hunters Alert was responsible for enacting legislation requiring and establishing or adopting wildlife policies or regulations. The Wildlife Commission shall, to the greatest extent practical, use principles of sound scientific management. Hunters Alert was responsible for legislation to obtain funds for predator control. That's your $3 fee. Hunters Alert was responsible for legislation that limits the chairmanship of the Wildlife Commission to 2 terms. Hunters Alert was responsible for the passage of AB 41, which changed NDOT from a division to a department. Hunters Alert was responsible for passing legislation in the 2005 legislative session, which will audit NDOT. And Hunters Alert was responsible in the 2007 session for the passage of AB 259, which will audit NDOT every other year. The man deserves this award. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to say one quick thing.
Go ahead. You're on.
President Woodrow Wilson once said, if you want to make enemies, try to change something.
quite appropriate quote. Now let's move on to the next item, which is item 3, approval of the agenda. This is an action item. Commission will review the agenda, may remove items from consideration or adjust the order of presentation. Items on the agenda without a time designation may not necessarily be considered in the order in which they appear on the agenda. I did have noticed that we had an item that would like to be moved up, and that was item number 11, the Clark County Road Access item, because the BLM representatives are here and there are some time constraints, and we need to get into details of that. Mr. Shrum has details, and I believe he'd like to see number 11 moved up to between items 7 and 8. Is that correct, Mr. Shrum? Did any other commissioners have any items they'd like to see changed on the agenda? We have, yes, Mr. Howell. Okay. So I know I've told number 12 that we'd have that as time specific as we can, so maybe we could include that in a motion that if possible, we can move that one forward. Sure. Okay. Just looking for motion. Go ahead, Mr. Macbeth.
Let me find my place here. I'd like to make a motion to strike agenda item number 13 pursuant to the governor's letter that the commission received. Basically, I would request that the motion basically states that we strike the any consideration by this commission of the agenda item that deals with the regulations on the Heritage Fund. The governor has indicated very clearly that this commission is not to take action on that item, so the correct procedure is to move that it be stricken. And so if you vote yes, that is a vote to strike it from the agenda. If you vote no, then you're voting to keep agenda item number 13 on the agenda.
Okay. I'd like to, just so we can clarify what we're doing here, and I know other commissioners have other things they want to bring up, but perhaps we can do these changes one at a time so we can get a vote on them. I mean, usually we do them all at once, but maybe we can get a vote on each item. That way if anybody wants to, let's stick with your motion first, is just to move that one, or strike that one item, and then we'll move on, go back to the others, so we can do them all separate. Okay. So that was a motion to strike item 13 from the agenda. I heard a motion and a second. There's a motion second on the floor to strike that item. Now it's time for discussion. We had Mr. Capurro. Thank you. Mr. Vice Chairman?
Sorry. Mr. Chairman, as chairman of the committee, I would like to go ahead and discuss it, and then I've got some motions to make on what we should do, but I think it's a discussable item, and I'd like to put the governor's letter into the record formally, and I think we should do that, and so I'm prepared to do that, but I think we should discuss it. So I'll be voting against the motion.
Thank you. Do we have any other on this commission? You know, I'll just throw this out. You know, I made sure this stayed on the agenda for the main reason. I'll throw this out here to you is in an open and transparent government, if we're going to vote an item down or we're not going to take action item, we should tell the people and the cabs and everybody else why we're doing it. I mean, I think I was quoted before some, hey, I don't want to backdoor anything. We want to stick something on the agenda and not vote on it, great. We want to take a different action, great. But that needs to be done in this forum and not just striking things off elsewhere. Okay, very good. Does everybody understand the motion? Yes.
Just to help the secretary, instead of a voice vote, would you raise your hands? That way we can make sure we get,
If we have any motion that's not clear, I will always do so, but thank you, appreciate it. All in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand on this item. Okay, we have 2 in favor of the motion. We have Mr. Macbeth, Mr. Wallace. All opposed to that motion, signify by raising your hand. We have 4 or 5, all other 6. So we have 2 in favor, 6 opposed, motion fails. I generally will not vote unless to break a tie, so I have not voted on this item. Motion failed. Excuse me, did we have another motion on the floor to change any of these other items?
Right here, Scott, yeah.
Go ahead.
With regard to agenda item number 15, which is correspondence, that got moved to the end, and I'm concerned that that by putting that to the end, if anything does come in on correspondence that deals with an agenda item that precedes it, that we may have an issue. We are supposed to consider all written communications from the public on any agenda item that it's relevant to, and so I think that it's prudent for us to make sure that we get those items either dealt with at that time, or that there's an indication that those items will be dealt with on a specific agenda item.
And I just want to throw one thing out here, to dag on this, put you on the spot, but my understanding of correspondence, and actually I'd almost as soon it be the very last item on the last page, just because to me it covers the items that are not covered under an agenda item. We'd still be free to, I like to bring up my correspondence on the item if I can, but it's up to the commission how we do it. Is there any prohibitions against doing it one way or the other? Okay. If you want to make a motion one way or the other, or we just have a general understanding that you can bring it up at the item if you got something?
I think the problem that I see is that until we get a full understanding of all the items that have come in on correspondence, because I think all of us get various items of correspondence. It's not always the same. It doesn't always come through the department. That's
Okay.
what I'm concerned about.
Make a motion.
I'd move that we move agenda item number 15 to somewhere above the first action item, which I believe is item number 8.
Okay, so move it between 7, immediately after number 7. Is that the motion?
Yeah, that would work.
Okay. We have motion, a second, to move item number 15 to immediately after item number 7. Does everybody understand the motion? Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, let's do a show of hands just for the record. Aye? The ayes? All right, we have 4 ayes. Do we have, okay, we got Mr. Macbeth, Mr. Wallace, Mr. Lent, Mr. Cavan. All opposed? Everybody else is opposed? 5 opposed. And I voted on this. Everybody else, including myself, opposed the motion. But I'll state, hey, if anybody's got an item that comes up, you got correspondence, bring it up at the appropriate time.
Chairman Ray,
Go ahead.
I have
You
another
got
one.
another motion.
got another one. I'm wondering if we ought to strike 14B, because the letter has already gone out.
Yeah, we could strike it, or we could say it at the item, whatever's the pleasure of the,
And if there is gonna, if we keep it on, will there be discussion about it on that, at that point in
Yep.
time?
you have a good point. We could go ahead and strike it. If you, that's your motion?
I haven't made a motion yet. I'm trying to get some discussion on this. Does any other commissioners have an issue with either striking it or having a limited discussion as to what happened with the letter?
14B, yeah, we should have a, for the purpose of discussion, go make a motion, we can have a second, then we can go ahead and,
Okay, no motion.
go ahead, Mr. Pearl. Okay. Do we have a second? That was the item you just mentioned. Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to strike item 14B from the agenda. Actually, the explanation, it's a good explanation. Go ahead. Excellent. I concur, it's basically a non-issue, it is history at this point. Go ahead.
No action is really an action, so it's an action item, but if we take no action, then that's certainly appropriate, I think.
I think Ms. Macbeth's point about, we want to spend time public comment, that's probably that's an appropriate comment. Do you want to have anything further? You had your hand up? No? Mr. Macbeth, sorry.
Your assumption is incorrect.
Huh?
The letter was not written by the department, and that's going to be the issue.
We could talk about that at another time or something, maybe. Anyways, we got a motion, we've got a second. Any further discussion? Throughout my discussion, I had no problem striking it. Like I says, it is history, so, anything we'd do would just be wandering around for a while. So, all in favor of the motion, signify by raising your hand. Our motion was to strike 14B, if there was a question. Okay, we have Mr. Capurro, Mr. Howell, Mr. Schrum, Mr. Vogler in favor of the motion to strike. All opposed? We have Mr. Cavan, Mr. Lent, Mr. Wallace, Mr. Macbeth, and I will be voting in favor of the motion, so the motion passes with striking 14B from the agenda. All right. Now, we had the item of, if there's no additional items, we had item of, do we want to deal with number 11 and then number 13 as an if possible? Those were the things that have been thrown out. Do we have a motion on them, or? Go ahead, Mr. Howell. Okay, excellent. Is there a second on that motion? Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to move item 13 in front of item 12, time permitting, and still leave item 12 at 2 o'clock. Does everybody understand the motion? For the discussion of the motion? We have DAG advice saying because we have a time-specific item immediately before that, that it would be questionable dealing with the open meeting law. So his advice was, don't move anything after item 12. Well, could you state your,
My concern is that
We have, just between item 11 and 12, there's the 2 PM agenda, starting with number 12. Members of the public viewing this agenda, seeing number 13, possible action item, have the right to pretty much rely at this point on that item being sometime after 2 PM. I'm afraid moving it forward to the morning session, moving that much of a move could be a violation of the open meeting law, since members of the public will be expecting this to be held some 2 PM or shortly thereafter. And as a consequence, wouldn't be able to participate.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
on the advice of council, I'll withdraw my motion.
Does the second withdraw as well? Does second concur with withdrawing? All right, motion is withdrawn. We're down to item, unless there's anything further later, we had item 11. Did we want to move that up? Was there a motion to that effect, or are we going to leave? Make it a motion,
Excuse me,
please.
yes. Item number 11 is going to be moved back to number 7, and I think Mr. Bull is going to introduce me, and I will go ahead and introduce the folks from the BLM and
Okay.
the folks from Bunkerville.
So the motion is to move item 11, motion is to move item 11 between item 7 and number 8. Was there a second on that? All
I'll
right,
second that.
all right. Properly moved and seconded to do so. Does everybody understand that motion? All, for discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 8-0. Do we have any further motions on the agenda? We can hit the rest of the agenda. All right, seeing nothing further, we'll move on to member items, announcements. Commissioners may present emergent items. No action may be taken by the commission. Any item requiring commission action will be scheduled on a future commission agenda. One thing I'd like to bring up is, at this time, is,
Mr. Chairman,
uh,
I think you need a motion to approve the agenda as
my
amended.
mistake, I stand corrected. The rest of the agenda, we've got all the other things. Lots going on. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. Thank you for the reminder. Does everybody understand the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 8-0. All right. What I just said about member items, announcements. Commissioners present emergent items. One item I'd like to bring up at this time for a future commission meeting, actually for a future committee meeting, is there has been some requests, as were eloquently stated earlier in the day, about the Wayne Kirch Award, and I would ask perhaps that the committee convene and have a meeting on that at some future date and time at the discretion of the committee chair. Perhaps some of those concerns might be addressed, and that would be the appropriate place for them to be addressed. That'd be all I have. We look down, okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Got a couple announcements. One is the Friends of Nevada Wildlife Legislative Breakfast, and I don't know if any commissioners can attend from the south, but it's going to be held on Thursday, February the 17th, 7 to 9:30 a.m. in room 3100 of the legislative building. And if any commissioners could make it, I know a couple from the North have already expressed committed to doing it, and we had some legislators encourage any commissioner we can to attend that. So I just want to put that, read that. And I'd also like to announce that the lawsuit against the commission was dismissed with prejudice. That was one filed by Chairman of Clark County Advisory Board, and at a great cost to Sportsman Dollars. It was dismissed with prejudice, so I wanted to announce that. I don't know if all the commissioners heard that. And then Mr. Chairman, I had a question here that I got to ask, and I don't know if this is the proper place to do it, but about maybe it's not. I can ask one of the biologists about a study on deer and the rubies, and is this a proper place to ask that? I got asked a question, and member items announcements. So member items, I was curious on what kind of study is going on in the rubies, and what are we studying, and who's paying for it and stuff like that. Is this the appropriate place?
Perhaps I could ask a brief question of our acting secretary, Mr. Mayor? A question on that. Would it be possible to provide that information at a later time to the vice chairman?
I just had an inquiry, and so I'm putting under member items about that NDOW has started studying the rubies and wondering what they're studying and who's paying for it and what's going on there, and I didn't know anything about it, so.
On the next commission agenda, we can have that.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Vogler, and then we'll have Mr. Macbeth.
I apologize if this isn't the proper time to bring this up, and it's housekeeping. Is there any chance that we could come up with a cutoff date? We get barraged right at the last, just before the meeting, with all kinds of emails of further documentation, and it's just almost impossible, especially for those of us who have to drive, to start out for the meeting and then try and retrieve all of those things prior to the meetings. Is this the proper time to mention something like this? Could we have a cutoff, maybe 2 days or something before the commission meeting?
I think that's an item we'd have to refer to the Deputy Attorney Generals for an opinion, as perhaps they can get a, something to think about, bring to the other, either you could address it at a future time, or we could maybe make a note to ask, have another Deputy Attorney General give us a rundown on that later, because I think that's probably going to run into legal. Okay, we had Mr. Macbeth, and then we'll move down.
With regard to our agenda item 14B that's now been stricken, which is basically a letter that Commissioner Rain wrote to the Secretary of the Interior, Salazar, and I've got some very, very serious concerns with regard to this letter. In our December meeting, we had a series of motions, and the original motion was that we approve a letter that had been drafted by the Feral Horse Committee, and that motion failed 2-5. And on the recommendation of Commissioner Howell, a second motion was made that basically indicated that staff would draft a letter to Secretary Salazar with regard to the Pickens Horse Sanctuary. Now, I did a public information request and got a string of emails that led to the issuance of the actual letter. And what it makes very clear is that the Department of Wildlife drafted a letter. That letter was rejected, and Commissioner Rain basically inserted verbatim information out of the letter that we specifically, as a commission, indicated would not go forward, and stuck it in this letter and sent it off unilaterally to Secretary Salazar on his own. That is an action that is outside this commission acting as a body. We have commissioners that are doing things on their own in the guise of the state of Nevada through this commission. I am going to personally take this issue to the governor and make sure that he understands, and I am going to request that he take appropriate action with regard to this, because this is really an outrageous action where you have a single commissioner who takes it upon himself to write a letter and in the name of this commission when it's been specifically not authorized. And I have a serious problem with it, and I will pursue this vigorously.
Thank you. Hey, you will show respect to all people. Hey, there's not going to be any applause for anybody, no booing. We're going to show respect to everyone equally. This is not a popularity contest on any item. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Vice Chairman.
I could comment on that. I think any letter that is going out to anybody, you don't just give the department carte blanche to write the letter. It's always got to be approved by by the chairman. And I've written letters to the Salazar with the approval of the board, and I've changed wording on it, and I've clarified issues, and I think the chairman has a right and a privilege to review the letter and to make changes in the letter before it goes out. And I think it would be a big mistake to let the department send a letter out without you seeing it or without your approval, and because there are some things that you might want to change in also, and I think you have a right to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to take a statement on that item, as I did receive legal counsel on the item. There are no issues whatsoever. I also did pass it by the other appropriate people who made the motion and received correspondence to the effect that that is indeed what the motion intended at the time, pursuant to the discussion beforehand. And the previous other motions that were involved in that day, all the items that were controversial were stricken out and only inserted what was appropriate and followed the intent of the motion as best we could. So we've already basically covered it on as far as legal channels. Go ahead, Mr. Howell. I think I'm ready for another. Actually, I had Mr. Capurro, and then you're up. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a matter of information, the motion on that Pickens Monument deal was 7-0.
Okay, the motion on the.
Last meeting, the motion to approve the letter we sent to Mr. Salazar was approved 7-0.
Letter was approved 7-0. Thank you. All right, Mr. Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Driving in here today, there was a lot of people out there protesting the bear hunt. And that's a moot point at this time. We've already voted on the bear hunt. There's going to be a bear hunt. What we're voting on today is seasons and quotas. So everybody needs to understand that. Anybody who's waiting here to talk about protesting the bear hunt, it's mute. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda for today. Go ahead, Mr. Capurro.
Under item 4, you'll be hearing later from Kim Jolly relative to the legislative update. I am the chairman of the legislative committee. I would bring to your attention, there is one bill that's already scheduled for hearing next Wednesday at, I believe it's 8 or 8:30 in the morning with Government Affairs, and that is the Senate Bill 56, which is the Do It bill. That particular bill requires, the law currently excludes several different agencies of the state from having to use the state's computer system, and that among those is the Department of Wildlife. The reasoning behind that goes back to when we had went to a privatized tag draw system, and the department was added to a list that included several other agencies at that time. This bill does throw all of those other agencies back under control of Do It. And I would urge all of you to take a look at Senate Bill 56. There is no, since we don't have, I guess, 3 days to discuss this before dealing with it, we can't take a vote on it. But that is a situation that, to me, if only for the tag draw system, that we need to take a strong look at opposing that bill.
Excellent.
I will be there on behalf of myself in testifying against the bill.
Excellent. Thank you for keeping apprised, and thank you for, anytime we've got anything on those items, feel free to send it out through staff to the commission. It'd be excellent. All right. Do we have anything else under member items, announcements? Let's move right along. Number 5, manage wildlife. Member items. Members may present emergent items. No action will be taken by the commission. Any item requiring commission action will be scheduled on a future commission agenda. Did we have anything that came out of all the CAB meetings that is not on this agenda today? Don't see anything. Oh, we got 2. We got Mr. Wellington, Mr. Dixon. What the CAB have to say, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ken Wellington for the record, Elko County. I had several things I just wanted to update you guys on what's going on in Elko County. We have an issue. I also sit on a Natural Resource Commission for Elko County, and we had representatives from the 71 Association out of Idaho, ranching industry up there, that have come forth and asked for support from Elko County regarding BLM's travel management issues that they're having up there at the border. from Idaho, and it takes up a small portion of Nevada up in the Jarbidge area. And so I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. There is a website. People are joining to support them, allowing access for sportsmen up in that area, and it's www.71association.com. The second thing was I had a letter from Pat Laughlin regarding a project that was going on in the Diamond Mountains for predator management. And while they were out there, Wildlife Services noted, I think, over 600 horses in an area there. And since we don't really have that on the chance, I didn't get a chance to talk to the committee because your meeting was before. I didn't know about this till after. Anyway, I asked the BLM representative for Elko County what they were going to plan on doing with that diamond area, and he said they'd already started and handed me a letter dated January 6th where they've already started the environmental assessment for removing the horses out of that area. They're going to take it down. They actually noted, I think, 2,100 horses, and they're going to take it down to the recommended 161, just for information for you. The antelope complex where the Madeline Pickens project was going, up in that area up there, they are removing horses. They had a helicopter issue, I think, last Sunday. It's back up and running, and that project is ongoing. There was also a BLM came forward with a proposal for a restoration project. I'm not sure if our department knows about that yet, the NDOW, but it involves wildlife habitat, reducing hazardous fuels and so forth, and I have a copy for the secretary. I'll give them and they can pass it on to you guys. I know this isn't as exciting as your guys' stuff, but I just wanted to update you on it. BLM's also doing a proposal for riparian issues up in the Bluebell and the Goshute Peak Wilderness, where there's some water structures up there that have been damaged by wild horses. Again, this is the Madeline Pickens area. I'll leave this for you guys also, and it shows the map and what they plan on doing. We have some issues with that because this is supposed to be wilderness area that they've done, and we're curious of how they're going to go in and fix it and keep the horses out of that area. Another thing real quick for you was the China Mountain Wind Project. I have materials for that, the draft environmental studies out on that. That's going to deal with issues with sage grouse up in our area up there. And the Madeline Pickens project, our press up in Elko had reported that that project was done and over with. That is not true. BLM confirmed that. Again, here's another documentation I'll give to the secretary. It involves what Mr. Abbey actually told Pickens and what they just told her prospectus wasn't met and that she needed to resubmit it. So you guys might want to read that stuff. Two other things, just real quick. The Ruby Mountain project, I heard it come up, and you asked Mr. Mayor about it. Our board is currently working with the biologists for the Ruby Mountains. We're trying to do the 2 predator projects that we submitted, emergency, that I told you about several meetings ago. We submitted to the department. We're trying to work those into that. And I've also been directed by the Natural Resource Commission. Mr. Gardner's going to be trying to come in and help us with a portion of that so we can put that project in full run. I don't have all the details of it. We're still working out some of the issues with it. And lastly, I need to, for the county advisory boards here, I know Clark County put it on their agenda. We had an idea that came forward about handing out special recommendations or outstanding achievement by Nevada Department of Wildlife employees. We're looking to just establish guidelines for that and for an outstanding Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioner to recognize them each year from the county boards. What I'd like is if any of the county boards that like to participate, we're just in the planning process. We're trying to create a committee to set the guidelines, how we'd accept nominations, all those details. So if during a break or something, if they get a hold of me and give them the number, then maybe we can establish a committee with that. With that, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Ken, I got a question. Would you make sure all the commissioners get a copy of that Abbey letter to Pickens?
Yes, what it is they put it out as a press statement. And so, yes, I was going to give the whole stack, so you guys can have the whole ball of wax.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good information. Okay, with Mr. Dixon, and then we'll see if there's any other county advisory board. Something came up at your board meeting, sir.
No, you said emergent items with this and things, and my name is Paul Dixon. I'm the chairman of the Clark County Wildlife Advisory Board. I'd like to clarify for the record of the audience that Vice Chairman Lent said, and I yelled out inappropriately, the heritage lawsuit that I had filed in district court up in Carson City was dismissed. It was filed as a private citizen. Although I am the chairman of Clark County, I filed that suit as a private citizen. I want for the record, because it's been misrepresented by Commissioners Howe and Schrum at the county level here in Clark County. It had nothing to do with me and my role as a Clark County Advisory Board chairman. It had to do with me as a private citizen, and as a private citizen, I want that on the record. Thank you.
All right. We have Mr. Yannick. How's life in Carson City? Lots of stuff on your
Exciting.
minutes. I was reading lots.
Exciting. Just one comment the Carson Advisory Board would like to make, and to show our appreciation for all the effort that Carl Akey has provided to us and to all the other cabs and to the department, and the amount of time that he spent on the research and the presentations that he's put on at various cabs regarding the science behind the study done on bears for the last 10 or 15 years, the amount of information that he's collected, and the professionalism that he's exhibited in the face of some very poor, tasteful comments that have been made about his ability and what should be done about it. That wasn't fair to Carl. He's doing his job, and he's doing a great job of it, and we all appreciate his efforts.
Excellent. Couldn't agree more. Thanks for your work, Gil. You always have good minutes. Appreciate it. Other advisory boards? All right. Seeing that.
Mr. Chairman.
Advisory board. Okay, we have Mr. Capurro on advisory board items?
Yes, sir.
And then Mr. Schrum afterwards.
We received shortly before we came down an email that the Washoe County individual who was supposed to attend the meeting was not going to be able to for a medical reason, and they were not able to find someone to take his place. So that report obviously won't, the only thing about it is their minutes are probably some of the best that are written in that. So you can read, and they are out now, so you can read what that group actually took action on that time. But I thought it should be on the record that they were going to come. They would have presented their findings relative to that meeting, and also that subsequent to that, I understand there was an open meeting law violation filed against the Washoe County CAP. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, going through the notes of the Clark County Advisory Board, the chairman said he requested backup information from me and the chairman concerning the BLM issue we're going to address here in a few minutes. And I did not receive any correspondence, any phone calls, any emails, nothing at all from the chairman of the Clark County Advisory Board. And I also contacted you, if you remember correctly,
Yes,
asked you to check your correspondence emails, and you have nothing. So now I would suggest that the chairman is in error and made a mistake. Now, if he can prove me wrong, I'll apologize, but I answer emails that pertain to us and are relevant. I answer phone calls. I try to be responsible to constituents, and I resent this. Now, if I'm wrong, I'll go ahead and apologize, but I think the chairman should go ahead and prove what he said.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for all right, let's go right ahead. You're being addressed, Mr. Dixon.
This is the 21st century, and there is electronic trails of emails sent and facts that emails were received by both you and Chairman Rain, and I can prove that and bring that evidence in, sir. And I really am appalled that you would think that I would say in a public meeting that I sent you correspondence, and that was a lie.
All right. Well, first we need to keep away from personal attacks, and I'm on both sides of this issue. And, you know, I didn't see anything. I went back and looked. I didn't see anything. That's all I can say. Not that, and we need to move right along to number 6, public comment period. And got a lot of public comment here. I think most of these cards that we've got don't necessarily state which item we want to speak on Any of the action items that are later on, you'll have a chance to speak on the action items. If they're just informational, those are not. So if you have anything on any of the informational items that are strictly listed informational, now would be a good time to come up and talk about them. I'd ask that, if a group, and this is for the whole meeting, if a group has a representative that they would like to speak for their opinion, I'd like for the entire group that's represented to go ahead and stand up so we can see who you're representing. We appreciate that. If you'd like to have a representative of your group, go ahead and make your statements. That's great. We'd like to get everybody into account. Public comment, looks like we have Mr. Yannick is round number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gil Yannick, speaking as myself and as president of Friends of Nevada Wildlife, I'd like to take this time to recognize some of the sponsors of the legislative breakfast that's going to happen on February the 17th. I'd like to read the list and give them some personal thanks for their contributions. That's Nevada Bighorns Unlimited, Nevada Conservation League, Nevada Muleys, Carson Valley Trucker Club, the Nature Conservancy, Pershing County Truckers Unlimited, the law firm of Allison, McKenzie, Pavlakis, Wright, and Fagan, Friends of Red Rock Canyon, Red Rock Audubon Society, the Nevada Trappers Association, Lahontan Audubon, Toyabe Chapter of Sierra Club, and the Carson Fly Fishing Club. And I want to appreciate their efforts and their contributions and to make this possible. Thank you.
Thank you. And also, I'd meant to say that since we do not have an adequate, slightly different subject, we do not have an adequate clock. The vice chairman, when you're down to 15 seconds left, vice chairman will hold up a red card. If you don't have one, I've got one here. Let everybody know that time's about up. So anybody else? Public comment? Go ahead and public comment. Public comment. Okay, Mr. Bentley. Welcome, sir.
For the record, Clint Bentley, and since this commission wants to be transparent, I figure that there's a letter or two that need to be read into public for the public to hear. First of all, Commissioner Macbeth has already read Ms. Kirsch's letter of December 10th into the record at the previous meeting. However, the response from Commissioner Lent has not been read in, so I'll read that letter into the record. Marlene Kirsch, 6 December 2010. Marlene, in response to your email to me dated 2 December 2010, as a first-time judge, I am compelled to respond to you. I take great offense to you saying the voting process is terribly flawed, as I have not even voted yet. I also am offended that when you said both this year and last year, there was an agenda to give the award to specific individuals. It is very evident that you are directing us how to vote under the disguise of requesting to withdraw the award. I think this behavior greatly diminishes the value of your father's great reputation. Evidently, a partial list of the vote results were requested by you and given to you by NDOW staff, and even before NDOW staff had voted. This is highly unethical and borders on dishonesty. No one should see or know the results of the voting, not even you, before the chairman of the committee confirms and releases them. I must remind you that you are a voting member of this committee only, and it is a commission award. I highly resent you trying to dictate the outcome of the award, or else you just don't want the award issued. If you do not want the award given out and do not want to provide the actual award, it is your wish. You could request your father's name to be taken off the award, in which case the commission could rename the award and furnish the actual award themselves. I hope this clears up my thoughts on this issue. Sincerely, Dr. Gerald Lent. And then in response to that, on the 1st of February, she did send the letter, as Commissioner Macbeth stated, requesting that the award not be awarded at this time because it did not appear that it was following proper protocol, and therefore I believe that if they want to issue the award, as you did, that the name of the Kirsch Award, the Kirsch name should have been removed from that award. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment on the issue? On any issue not as an action item on the agenda? Go ahead, sir. I assume you filled out a card, right? Excellent. Thank you.
I also have documentation to submit, and I'm not sure how to do that.
Just go ahead and lay it on the counter there, and staff will.
Thank you very much. Billy Howard, Reno, Nevada. Commissioners, as regards the bear hunt, you appear to be living in a bubble that the people of Nevada would like to burst. Entered into the record is my report on the 4,857 pages of communications NDOW received between July and December 2010. I viewed each and every page. I removed all duplicates and multiple copies, even if the same sender emailed different text on different dates. The final tally accounts for one person per vote. 6 people wrote to say they would not support the hunt regulation as written. 56 people wrote in support of the hunt. Individual email senders opposed to the bear hunt totaled 3,028. More than 30 cities and townships across the breadth of Nevada weighed in, all against. As published by an RGJ journalist yesterday, I've gone through many of the emails in their report, and everything I examined checked out, and NDOW said it sounds right to them. The crush of public sentiment is against the hunt and growing. The governor's office staff reported 2 days ago they are receiving more communication against the bear hunt than they are about the budget. Our online petition is 2,000 strong. The Incline Village resolution speaks for 10,000 people. The Facebook group grows daily, near 200 today. Even a random poll on the Carson Now website is 74% against. County board members have weighed in. Quote, I'm a sportsman and I would never shoot a bear, Rick Smith. A lot of people think the hunt is crazy, Rex Flowers. As well as hunters. As a hunter, I see no sport in what would be like shooting a cow. And I have hunted for 32 years in this state, but can't understand what would make someone want to kill a bear. Where's the evidence you have to show the majority supports this? Ah, I see. There is none. I believe you have made an honest mistake in assessing public opinion, but this mistake is causing growing resentment towards the one department Nevadans most love to treasure. You must find a way to reverse this detriment. Here's your way out. Table today's hunt discussion. Place the bear hunt on hold. Enter an agenda item for your next meeting to nullify the recent regulation so you and NDOW can present a more thoroughly vetted case to the now cynical and madding public.
Thank you very much for coming out. Appreciate your comments. Anybody else? Because we've got a list. I'm not sure who wants public comment, who wanted it at an action item. Anybody else public comment? Okay, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, for things not on the agenda. And you filled out a card, I see.
Yes, filled out a card.
Excellent,
Yes.
thank you.
Members of the commission, I'll be speaking on your passage of the regulation in December legalizing bear hunting. I'm a member, my name is Chris Schwamberger, I live in Carson City, and I would like my comments entered into the record. This commission does not understand the word public. We object to the bear hunt regulation passed in December on the basis that there are legal and procedural deficiency in its adoption. Point number 1, NoBearHuntNevada.org filed an open meeting law complaint yesterday with the Attorney General's office alleging civil and criminal violations of the open meeting law for intentional exclusion of public comment at your December meeting. At that meeting, Commissioner Rain characterized public comment emails received as spam, as in the amount slightly over 2,000 communications, and as being evenly divided, pro and con, on the hunt. No one else on this commission questioned that characterization.